guys, welcome back to Tips and Techniques. I've been asking a few people some different things that they'd like to learn, and one thing that really surprised me is that people seem to have a fear of mixing pattern papers. And so I am the co-owner of Coordinates Collections, a monthly kit club, and that's basically what we do. We put together a kit every month of coordinating papers and embellishments, and we try and mix patterns and solids from all different companies so that you can get a nice custom look on your page as opposed to just using all of one line. So I thought that maybe what we'd do today is talk a little bit about mixing patterns, how to do it, how to build your layout with different patterns so that when you walk into the scrapbook store the next time and all those aisles of paper are staring at you, you won't feel intimidated. And then what I'll go ahead and do is I'll make a segment after this for those of you that would like to see a layout made mixing some papers, and we can make a layout together. So I hope this is a help. Before we get started, I just kind of wanted to show you some samples of a couple layouts that I've made using a mix of different patterns. This one, I've just taken strips of different scraps that I had left over of different patterns and put them all together on the base of craft cardstock. And you can see that the brown and greens in this are all from the same line, the same company. And then the ones that are the blue, brown, green, and white stripe and the polka dots are also from the same company, but a different company. Those are from Karen Foster. And so I noticed when I was putting these together that the blues and the greens and the browns all kind of coordinated, and I just took strips of them and put them on a nice solid backdrop. And I'll give you another idea here. This layout, it's also on a craft background. I guess I didn't realize that when I was picking them out. This just shows how you can mix papers that are all monochromatic. I've taken the craft background, I pulled the green out of my son's sweatshirt that's in the picture, and I used that to mat the photo on as the background. And then I took kind of a leafy, lighter green pattern from Rusty Pickle and a text pattern with a different shade of green in it from Scenic Route, and that kind of all works together, but again, they're all different patterns from different companies. Here is an example of a layout where I used different pattern papers all from the same manufacturer. This is from Basic Gray from their Blitzen line last Christmas. This was, again, I just built this on a solid background, just one of their red papers, and then took small snippets of the patterns that all came in their coordinating pack and mixed them all together. And you can see that they don't really, some of the papers don't have green in them, some of them don't have red, but they all work together. I really think that the reason why kit clubs have become so popular over the last 2 years or so is that because people are afraid to mix patterns themselves. I think that walking into a scrapbook store and just staring at aisles of paper can be really overwhelming, especially for beginning scrapbookers. So I just want to give you a few tips. A good way to start is by looking at what's in your photo. For example, with this, we've got obviously the red, white, and blue. Find the dominant colors. Your son's blue eyes, the colors on your daughter's floral dress, something that speaks to you and says, and it pops out at you. So what you want to do is you want to start with your background paper. And I'm sorry, I feel like I should get a manicure because you guys are always looking at my hands, and you can probably tell that I'm a nail biter, but that's just from all the design team contests that I enter and don't win. I'm always biting my nails. But anyways, an easy way to start is always starting with a solid neutral cardstock as a base to build on. You can use white, black, cream, craft, all good ones to start with. If you're feeling a little more adventurous, another great thing to start with is a simple, now this isn't totally solid, it's a little distressed, or something that has a bold, dark, closely knit pattern, kind of like polka dots. This, for instance, would be another good background because it's pretty subtle, but it does have a pattern on it. So let's say we were going to use this for our background. So we will pull this out. Now the secondary pattern can be a lot more bold. I would tend to go with something big that really makes a statement like this. Now the way you can tell that these go together is this complements your background. These oranges work really well together. You want to pull something out that really complements that background. And then picking the third pattern is usually where the trouble starts, because the third should be a more subtle pattern that complements the big bold pattern and picks up a color from your background. So when working with that, I've pulled out this chatterbox pattern here that I think looks really cute. It's a darker, so it's a little bit more subtle, still has a fun pattern to it. We've used the polka dots, both little subtle polka dots and big bold. I think it's time to bring in a different pattern, a floral, a stripe, something that gives it a little bit of a different look. So again, this complements the background, picks up a color from your large bold pattern, and they all work together. And sometimes if your background paper is a polka dot, your larger pattern is a floral or something, then you can try something else like a stripe as well, would work really well with this. So anyways, that gives you an idea with this. Now let's try a couple. Oh, let me just point this out too. This would be another great third pattern, or a backdrop, because it's a solid color basically, but it has a really good pattern to it. So it's not competing too much with your big bold pattern. So you could easily slip that in as your background and use that combination together, or pull in your subtle polka dots as your third pattern. Either of those would work. Let's go on to another one, just to kind of give you a few examples here. Okay, here we have another very bold, bright pattern. And this is by Paper Loft, and I've brought in a couple of complementing other patterns here. Now you can see why I picked these. This is a stripe and a polka dot from Chatterbox, and this floral and this grid pattern are both from Paper Loft, and then I've brought in a solid blue cardstock. Now for this, because everything is so busy, I would probably build on the blue cardstock as the backdrop. And what I would bring in for my large, you could either bring in the large floral as your secondary paper, or the grid pattern. Now if you're going to use the grid, I would suggest that for your third you bring in something very subtle. This is another grid, but it's very, you can't really tell that it's there almost. It just is a very soft pattern, and so it would work really well with that big bold grid. If you wanted to do something that was a little more adventurous, rather than using the complete solid background, a lot of times these Chatterbox papers are double-sided, and on the back side is usually something like a linen texture. So that would be really great to use for a background. Then you could play with your floral as your bold pattern and bring in a stripe if you wanted to. Or on the back side of your grid is another more subtle stripe. So that kind of, again, is just another example of a way. Now when you're in the store, and let's say you pick out this floral pattern and you really like it, what you want to look for, find something that has similar colors. The reason I picked this polka dot from Chatterbox, the reds match. Both have navy, they both have white. Yes, this one does not have a yellow in it, but the yellow works with the rest of the colors, which are all found in this paper. So those two complement each other nicely. I hope that was helpful, and now I'll go ahead and put together a layout for you, and we'll mix a couple different patterns. We'll do a really easy one to start with. And anyways, thanks for watching.